We've learned something about the artist Michelangelo and his Sistine Chapel creations, but what does it all mean for you and me? Perhaps you don't believe in the literal interpretation of the Bible, as did Michelangelo. Nonetheless, I think the creation of Adam has significance for people in the 21st century, for it symbolizes a belief in a higher power, however you choose to characterize that power, from God made in man's image to a mystical, undefined embodiment of the source of life. Adam is an everyman, representing all of humankind. Adam's hand reaching out and God's hand offering forth very simply distills the relationship between creation and creator. Seen in this way, the universal gesture might be interpreted as a prayer of thanks for the gift of life. But I think there's also something else expressed here. There's an adage of faith that says, let go and let God. That unforeseen great things can happen when you give up your ego and accept guidance from a power greater than yourself. Now, here's why I think the painting portrays this. It's not just from the interaction of the two principal figures, God and Adam, but from the artist's own life experience. Michelangelo, by indulging his ego and resisting the Pope's order to paint the Sistine Chapel ceiling, was actually placing limits on his creative abilities. He thought, he was fearful, that he would be giving up his chance for art immortality by letting go of the Pope's tomb project, for that was to be his great monument for posterity. This tomb was to be grand indeed. It would be freestanding in the Basilica of St. Peter and contain no less than 40 statues. For a sculptor, it was a once-in-a-lifetime project. Acting through Pope Julius, God was actually inviting Michelangelo to stretch his creative limits, to give expression to his full artistic abilities and prove his faith. When he finally did let go and let God, he was inspired to create what has become one of the greatest artistic achievements of all time. You see, originally the Pope commissioned Michelangelo to only paint Christ's 12 apostles, 12 figures total, that's all. But he wound up painting over 300 figures. Michelangelo completely reconfigured the original concept once he fully committed himself to the project. And the Pope wisely let him do what he wanted to do, and that was nothing less than pictorially interpreting the biblical history of mankind's beginnings. As symbolized in his famous painting, Michelangelo figuratively reached out to God and received the touch of divine inspiration. At Hold On Art, we wanted to commemorate this monumental creation by crafting an item of personal art that everyone could wear to express their faith in God. We commissioned a jewelry artist to create a pendant to depict this moment in 3 dimensions, focusing only on the hands of God and Adam, which distills so beautifully the theme of the work. He made a miniature sculpture. When we saw this stunning 3D rendering, we thought of it as our humble tribute to one of the greatest sculptors who ever lived. And here is that pendant, cast in bronze and plated in 24-karat gold. Note the exquisite detail in the carving of the hands, all beautifully framed to accent this miniature work of art. We've turned the figures up slightly from horizontal to present God's hand as coming from above, a small alteration from the original. But remember, the actual fresco is viewed on the Sistine Chapel ceiling, so everything is from above. The touch of God will inspire you and be admired by others for as long as you own it, and it will never become outdated. It already has over 500 years of history behind it. Wear this elegant item of personal art as a prayer of thanks for life, or as a reminder that there is always a blessing to trusting in the Almighty. Let go and feel the touch of God.